All right, it's time for an urgent real-time Bitcoin forecast, and it's going to be a big market macroeconomic forecast. What the fuck is actually going on? Is the title of today's episode. Let me just cite you the facts as to what's going on. Just the facts, and then we'll sort them out right now. They're going to do a bail-in. The Federal Reserve is going to do a bail-in for Silicon Valley Bank, number one. Number two, at the same time, another bank went down this weekend. And they said they're going to do a bail-in. I'm going to explain what a bail-in is in a second. CPI is tomorrow. So is daylight savings time. Number three. Number four, the financial media all over Twitter, all over the media circuits are saying that, what's back here? Okay, I just wanted to make sure there wasn't any alpha back here. Okay, are saying that due to the bank instability, system-wide risk, Goldman Sachs is saying that the Fed is probably not going to do any kind of raise this month, this quarter. Okay, that was number four. Number five, the S&P 500 currently has a falling wedge, which is bullish, kind of, except for the fact, well, I'll explain that later. It's generally bullish, but it's in a position to where it could be a fake out bullish setup. Number six. I guess I kind of covered number six and number three. I'll do a different number six. CZ is about to put $1 billion worth of cash into Bitcoin, Ethereum, and BNB coin. $1 billion. That's their industry savior fund, industry insurance fund. Okay, so let's. Those are the facts right now. Let me talk about each point so that you know what the future holds. First of all, whether we go up or down is 100% only contingent on whether the Fed raises their rates as expected or not. If they do raise their rates as expected, then we get a quick dip, and then the dip gets bought up and goes up because that's what the elites, that's what the ruling class are doing. If the rates go down, we actually crash and die. Wait, okay, so if the rates go up, we go down and then up. But if the rates go down, we go down and then down? Yes. Okay, none of this makes any sense. Of course it doesn't make any sense. You weren't told, this is not what you were taught in school. The whole reason you went to school was to become minions of the elite and subservient to the ruling class, not to be able to understand economics, to be able to predict what they're going to do next. Here's the seventh key point that's a fact that I didn't mention in the preamble to this video. Seventh fact is that whenever the Fed did a pivot or cut their interest rate raising spree, the market crashed. Weird. I know, it's just weird as hell. Google it. Google it. Whenever they do a pivot, then everybody just kind of relaxes and thinks everything's going to go great, and that's when all the elites cash out. So the Fed doing a pivot and being more dovish, from here on, the economy is going to be great. It actually does the opposite. The markets crash. Everything's going to crash. So basically, you don't want the Fed to pivot. You don't want the Fed to be less hawkish. What you want is the Fed to raise interest rates so that prices dip and then you buy the dip is what you want to do. Now, is that what's going to happen? So now we know what the goal is. Now let's go straight through and review the facts based on the goals now. Number one goal. They're not going to do a bailout, they're going to do a bail-in for the banks. What's the fucking difference? I'm using expletives because all this is just so contrived. It's so obviously designed to make regular, hardworking, middle-class people broke, so that you have to go stand in soup lines that are not actually soup lines. They're just water and boiled insect lines. It's just really disgusting to see this. But I mean, What did you expect? Artificial intelligence can do your job now. Robots do your job now. You're no longer necessary. Back up until the 50s and 60s and even 70s, you were necessary because you had to go fight their wars. Look at World War One. Now, did you know that World War One, England, Germany, and Russia, the Tsar of Russia and the King of Germany and the King of England, or whoever they were, or is it the Tsar of Germany, or whoever they were, the three guys, they were all relatives. They're all like cousins and brothers and cousins that were just fighting over their little European kingdom, which is all of Europe. Look this up. I'm not kidding you. There were just three brothers that happened to own eeny, meeny, and miny, and they decided to go war and killed millions and millions of regular people. And now they don't need you because they have drones, artificial intelligence, and so they want to kill you, because otherwise what you're going to do is you're going to find where they live, break into their private communities, and steal their gold and hang them like you did with Marie Antoinette. Let them eat their cake. So if you're not worried about having to eat insects, you just never paid attention in history class, because history class was boring as fuck. But that's what history does. It's the powerful people use you, and then they kill you. And nothing like that has happened over the last 20, 30 years, because they've been, in fact, there hasn't been a major war at least in the US and the West for a while. So what are they doing? They're doing riots, and they're dividing internally. They're causing internal division so that they can conquer externally. Anyway, so that's the big picture. Let's zoom back into whether we're going to go long or short. On a bail-in. What is a bail-in? A bail-in is when, instead of bailing out a bank that's bad, that can't pay its bills, by giving the bank money and then saying, well, you sucked and you're out of money and everyone's hurting, so here's a bunch of money. You can use it to just make everything go the way it was supposed to go if you didn't suck and if you didn't fuck up. And nothing else changes. The CEO might change, but really nothing else changes. That's a bailout. A bail-in is the total opposite. A bail-in is, who are the people we need to protect? Oh, the depositors, okay? The people that actually gave money to the bank. Who are the people that fucked up? Okay, cut them all, slice them all. We're going to give back everybody's money, but the company itself is going to go out of business. And when the company goes out of business, now here's the funny part. The investors of that company, including the people that they owe money to, like the phone bill, the water delivery guy, the suppliers, the vendors, they all get nothing. The creditors get nothing. Huh? Okay, so how does that impact what happens to the Fed rates? Okay, I'm going to get there. When a bailout happens, everybody gets paid. Everybody, including the people that fucked up. When a bail-in happens, only the people that deposited money get their money back. Everybody else suffers, including the people that the bank owes money to. Now, who would a bank owe money to? Bank would owe money to accountants. They would owe money to subcontractors. They would owe money to consultants like Accenture, Deloitte. They would owe money to lawyers. So now if accountants, consultants, lawyers don't get paid by the bank, what are they going to do? They're going to stop working for banks. Now, when these people stop working for banks because they didn't get paid, what ends up happening? Banks end up closing because they need these people to work. If you can't do accounting and you can't get consulting and you can't get legal help for your banking shenanigans that you're doing, you can't stay open. So all these banks are going to start closing. And the only banks that are going to be left open are guys that are 100% in the pocket of the elites in the ruling class, namely JP Morgan, BlackRock. BlackRock is anyway, I'll talk about that in another episode. So what ends up happening is that if banks close down, there's going to be far more centralization in funds. If there's more centralization in funds, there's not as much competition. There's not as much competition for lending. Now, if you're not going to compete for lending, what doesn't have to go down anymore? If you're competing for lending, hey, I'm competing for your dollar. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to offer you lower interest rates. But now that if banks start going out of business, there's less competition for that dollar. And I used to offer lower interest rates to get that dollar, but I don't have to get that dollar anymore because it's just going to be given to me because I'm JP Morgan and I'm in the back pocket and I'm being controlled by the elite. I don't have to reduce interest rates. If a bank doesn't have to reduce interest rates and the cost of goods and services are generally flat anyway, and they've been flat for the last year or so. They've been going down, they've been going up, but that's all seasonality. It happens over the course of a year anyway. There hasn't been major, the price of eggs suddenly went up, and that proves that inflation is going up, so they have to hike up. They have to hike up the rates of the interest rates. Did you notice that right about when the price of eggs were going up, all sorts of chicken farms around the country of America were being burnt to the ground? They're just exploding, massive, spontaneous, unknown cause explosions. I'm not kidding you. Look it up. Compare the funny thing about the human mind sucks at being able to hold multiple thoughts together at once. So what we have to do to give the appearance of holding multiple lines of thought at the same time, we have to go back and forth between thoughts often enough so that our memory kind of tends to blend them together. So it looks like we're remembering two things at once. But yeah, when the price of chicken eggs went up, all these chicken farms started exploding across America. The weirdest thing. And because the price of chicken eggs went up, everyone thought inflation was going up, but inflation kind of just wasn't actually really going up. Compare when inflation did go up, minus the chicken eggs, to other seasons in previous years. And you'll see that inflation really hasn't been that bad enough for the Fed to continuously keep raising rates and then say, hey, I think we can ease up on raising rates and then go raise rates even more. To shake you out of your positions. Okay. So that having been said, does that kind of answer your question as to how the bank bail-in impacts whether the Fed is going to raise interest rates or not? Oh man. And then CZ buying a bunch of crypto is the only other point I have to touch on. Me explaining this to you, even on YouTube, with my wrestling dummy friend in the background, kind of helps me get these ideas straight in my head too. So, if the financial media, which is what they're saying right now, Bloomberg is reporting that because of the volatility and the thin ice that banks are skating on, it's unlikely that the Fed is going to raise interest rates this quarter. Always do the opposite of what Bloomberg tells you. Always do the opposite of what Kramer, CNBC, all these guys tell you, because they're controlled by the elite. They want you to lose money. And always do what Cassandra tells you to do, except a month and a half later. But give it a month and a half, maybe even 3 months, before you do what he tells you to. That having been said, and if the Fed makes sure that all depositors get paid back, that's easy. That makes it real easy. Everybody gets their cash back from these banks that are competitors to JP Morgan, But then these banks themselves go out of business. Where are you going to put the bank? Where are you going to put the cash? You're going to put the cash into a different bank. And when that different bank goes out of business, you get your cash back again. Where are you going to put your cash? It depends. Eventually, the banks are going to get so consolidated that they're just going to get bought up by JP Morgan. The same way JP Morgan bought out Washington Mutual. And you became a JP Morgan client while still banking under a logo called Washington Mutual. So what I think is going to happen at this point, and the last point, CZ buying up $1 billion worth of crypto. Do Kwon did that recently, about a year or two ago. You remember what happened to crypto after Do Kwon bought up hundreds of $millions worth of Bitcoin? It did pump. It pumped for about 3 days. And then it dumped so hard, it wrecked everybody. Is that what's going to happen next? Well, one thing is becoming clearer. I think the Fed is going to continue to raise rates, and I think that's going to continue to crash the stock markets, even though the stock markets have a falling wedge, like I mentioned in the beginning of this video. Because that falling wedge, let me just double check. Yeah, that falling wedge is in a perfect bear trap zone right now, at the moment. So, will Bitcoin hit $200,000 or go past all-time high? Probably not. Will Bitcoin pump? Possibly. Will Bitcoin pump and then keep going up? Unknown. Will Bitcoin pump at all? Probably. What I mean by that is I think what's going to happen is the stock market's going to dump, and Bitcoin's going to go up with Ethereum and BNB coin, and then it's quickly going to die as everyone starts taking their profit, because we're just trying to be as late as possible to the soup line, the insect soup line. How do I make this fun and bright so that you keep subscribing? We can get rich and disappear to our, that's my ultimate secret plan, is all our subscribers. I really want all you guys to get rich with me, and we just, I don't know, go to an island or something, get away from this current society system, and I don't know, live eating meat. We're gonna grow our own cows. That's for sure. So that's what I want to do, and I'm working damn hard to make sure that I can do that for my friends and supporters and family and followers. How am I going to do that? You'll see. You'll see. It is possible. So if the rest of the world crashes and burns, let's see if we can't opt out of the rest of the world, like Elon Musk is trying to do with his rocket ship. I don't have the expertise to build a rocket ship and go to Mars, but I'm working pretty darn hard to at least carve out a sanctuary to where we can still eat beef and live well outside of the rest of the society. If the rest of society collapses and crashes and dies, which it looks like it will, because the elites don't need you to fight their wars anymore, or work in their factories anymore, or run their computer systems anymore. Ta-da! I mean, it's obvious, right? It's like no-brainer stuff. Get rich with us.